I'll be sharing today about something called the Akashic Record by Andrea Hess. And she talks about how this is for soul healing. So the way we look at it is kind of like the record. Like in Judaism, we know that things are listed in all the recordings of what you did good, all the recordings of what you did bad. That's what free choice is all about. And so it's all about our intentions. For example, we can have a long-term time frame when we're investing, but still stay out of wishful thinking. And there's a fundamental here, which is, like I said, free will and choice, is that we're incarnated to be like our creator, to be creators. So our intentions have to be able to share the light with everyone brought to us, to make peace with the darkness within us, of what was done to us, to be able to stay in presence, a state of grace, conforming to just being every moment, to continue to enjoy abundance, whether it's love, time, support, care, food, money, attention from God, to see our reflection in all of life, to be feeling God willfully sustaining us at all times, to be here because we're loved and matter and precious and valuable, to continue having access to nature and people, the energy of glory, radiance, communion, connection that sustains the essence, and to be free of all self-sabotaging, destructive attachments in order to receive all intended blessings. We can think of this as like, where will I be in 6 months? What will I like to achieve in 6 months? And recognizing that our free will allows us to make this sort of web of choices until now that help guide us as we tap into their like pulsing vibrancy, their createdness. And when we make new choices that concretize or depart from their trajectory and also the future, it's like this web compasses even multiple lifetimes. We call this in Judaism Gilgul, the cycle, the recycling of the soul. That these choices and these long-term intentions can go over the course of different bodies. In other words, when you are different versions of you, even in a previous life. So the creativity to choose is the gift of endlessness that we were given by our Creator, who's infinite. And when we constantly manifest from consciousness, even if we cover our eyes or stay in ignorance and hope to be, indulged without choosing, we still have a desire, whether it's money or freedom from attachment, whether it's money or freedom from attachment, like for example, money, like currency, like resources, or freedom from attachments or health, it has to be for the sake of being a spiritual doer. That's the positive form of the desire. That's what we call light work. When life is a playground and we can fulfill without needing to struggle, we get our lessons from our pain, that it is, of course, to be a divine being. Our will is done. Like we say, God's will should be done. When we're by the grace of God, then it's also our will. So karma, what is this karma? In Hebrew, we say mida keneged mida, trait for trait, or tit for tat, right? Impeccably perfect system through which the energetic quality of a choice is mirrored by the energetic quality of a consequence. So when we make a choice out of need or lack, it creates need or lack. When we make a choice out of fear, it creates fear. When we make a choice out of love, we create love. And of course, there's a time delay. So we call this in Hebrew, Olam Haba, the world to come. And so we it can cause us to lose the thread that allows us to connect the choice to the consequence. It's like forgetfulness. And then there's like the Akashic record, for example, or we would say the record from Hashem, is connecting us beyond time, space, and mind. Third dimension is the here and now. That's called space-time. You can get from point A to point B. Fourth dimension is thought and time. So that's how we actually can time travel, because we can plan something that's to be in the future. We can remember that's to be in the past. And then we have the fifth dimension, which is time and information. So we have space-time, thought time, and information time. Information time would be like the Akashic records. It's to do with choice. It's to do with data, which is like not judged yet that it's good or bad, because it isn't really a container in that way. It's about being able, like the internet, for example, is a 3D, a space-time version of connecting beyond space-time, because we can meet people from across the world, but we're doing it in the here and now. The information can be beyond the here and now. It's what people kind of can imagine. It's the energy equivalent of being able to have a firewall or an encryption that protects our soul level privacy, so our personal information cannot be accessed through space or time or thought. That information is like, you might say, when someone energetically reads without permission, it's like an intrusion. It's inappropriate. It's not disciplined. It's not being in integrity, in curiosity. It's ego-driven. attunements are the key to get in. So what do I mean here? I'm saying attune, the frequency. Yetzer Tov is the will to good. Yetzer Hara is the will to bad. In other words, this free will choice, that information that we make our choice of, is not available kind of as public information. That's why I would say it's a fifth dimension. In order for someone to access it, they have to be there too. When they're ego driven, they're not going to be in that information. They're going to be wanting to know the information and violating a boundary that's already from a wrong intention. Remember what we said, karma is like tit for tat in some level. On that level, when you violate, you create violating energy. So the information talking about here is like an attunement. Information just as energy, as light, is maybe what color frequency, what wavelength frequency. So like attracts like, as we know. Negative energy is a result from our choices. We're able to choose either or nothing. In other words, nothing is blocking or controlling us. So when we're in the information element, the data, the record. So the record is just holding the information. And again, it's protected and private, and we can often look at this life as a helpless victim or in a circumstance, or actually we're in our power and we have complete responsibility, but we can't be both, because even blaming is disempowering. We create all of it or none of it. So to be in creation, to be in a co-creator with the creator, is the belief that we have to give up. The belief is that we can have it all because God is unlimited. So circling back to this 3D, 4D, 5D, we would say that perhaps space-time in the feet, right, where we walk on the earth. Then the thought time is like the head, like we're thinking, we're time traveling, we're thinking and planning. And then we could say the information is like the field, the encompassment. And if somebody's in your field, like an intrusive energy, we would say the will, it could be that it's a time delay. It's coming in from a previous time where we had the violating energy, but we're protected because that information in and of itself is not available for public use. And the worst case, someone says we're making something up. But when we have consciousness and we have responsibility, it's power. So helping others helps cultivate the objectivity needed for self-reading with more accuracy and less self-doubt. Now we're getting to the information. What do we do with this information? We have to be able to read this information and without doubting ourselves. The doubt is like, oh, you have to give something up to do good in this world or feel good in this world. That could be from a past life. So when we're willing to look at the information, we have to be the observer. We have to be in the encompassing field as a witness, not just the information. We have to be the reader of the information. We have to be co-creating with God enough that we could see the information that we've created and that we have generated through our grace of God, knowing that it's our priceless personal experience that we are more than a body mind. These experiences are information we can process. That's how we become exposed and sense and accept and allow, and then we can be transformed and integrated. We can integrate it and transform. The negative negates us. When we choose against ourselves, we choose to be who we are not. Rather, consciousness makes it so we can't repeat the choices that perpetuated the negative patterns. So once we feel that intrusive or violated energy coming into our record, to our personal private field, and the boundaries are crossed, we now heal whatever it is that caused us to cross boundaries, that could cause this to happen to us. And whatever we made a choice out of fear or lack, that there's not enough in the field, and so we need to go into someone else's field. In other words, the field. So we have, literally walking in someone else's thing. Then, identity mind, like thinking, like we said, kind of like violate someone who we see them, we decide who they are, or we want them to be who they're not, like based on our past or future. And then the field is kind of like someone's energy, their aura. So soul groups, we might start calling this a soul, have different resonances and energy centers. And one is independence, freedom. There's different ways of, we learn who we are we learn who we are not helps us to learn who we are. So if like our soul is trying to be in family and connection and communion where it's not supposed to be, we can't unsee what we learned. We now have to make a new choice in the next realm. So, in terms of being conscious, we can see what perpetuates and we can see the patterns. I hope this was interesting for you. Again, this is from Andrea Hess. This is Friday, so it's going to be Shabbat, Sabbath tonight, and I won't be making a video for tomorrow, so I will make a video for Sunday because I have a very busy day. So I'll make a video now that is for Sunday.